Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today's video is going to be a review roundup or speed reviews, I'm not sure what to call it yet, on a bunch of products that I've been trying recently. So I've got some mostly makeup, but then also an SPF product, a hair product. I really like doing these videos occasionally because I feel like they give me a space to give you in-depth reviews on products that you may have seen me mention in a haul or just in passing, and it gives me a chance to review those things where they may not have ever had a chance to be reviewed on my channel at any other point. So let's go ahead and get started with the first thing I've been trying, and I actually think this is almost gone. I've been testing it for probably 2-ish months now, but it's the Krave Beet Shield. So it doesn't say SPF anywhere on the packaging, but it is an SPF 50 sunscreen. The Korean version, I believe, is called Beat the Sun, but because the sun protection ingredients in here aren't approved to be used as sunscreen in the US, that's why it can't legally be marketed as an SPF in the States, but it definitely is an SPF. This is the best sunscreen I've ever tried. I know that sounds like a bold statement, but this is incredible. You'll see in the demo clips, it goes on so incredibly lightweight. It literally doesn't feel like you're putting on sunscreen, and it wears beautifully under makeup. I don't think I've ever found a sunscreen that actually wears under makeup as if you're not wearing any sunscreen at all. Usually they're either a little bit thick, and so they may look kind of shiny or glowy under your makeup, which I don't mind. And other times they might be more of the matte tinted type of sunscreen, and sometimes those can look a little dry under makeup if you have dry skin. But this doesn't interfere at all. You can just decide for yourself whether you want your face to look glowy or matte depending on what other makeup products you're wearing over it. And it's just incredible. It's fragrance free, which is amazing. It does retail for $20 and you get 50 milliliters of product, which is around 1.7 ounces. So it is a really small bottle, and it's right at the top of what I consider to be a fair price for a sunscreen. The value isn't great. That's the only complaint I have. If you compare it price per ounce to some of the Paula's Choice sunscreens, which I also love, it is still a little bit of a better value than those. Compared to the Supergoop Everyday Sunscreen, which I love, but it does have fragrance, the 2.4 ounce size, that is $9.17 per ounce, whereas this is $11.83 per ounce. So the Supergoop one is still a better value. If you don't mind fragrance, you may want to look at that one, but I'm really trying to avoid fragrance. So it's still kind of worth it to me. I just wish it was a little bit cheaper, or that it came in a little bit of a bigger size. But I do plan to continue using it and probably will repurchase it once it runs out. I think what I'll do is I'll stay on their email list. I don't think they have sales super often, but next time they do have, like, let's say a 15 or 20% off discount going on, I might stock up on a few. When you first apply it, it's gonna look a little bit glowy on your skin, but within a couple minutes it sinks right in, and it's so pleasant to put on. I've tried so many sunscreens where they're tolerable and they look okay on my skin once they sink in, once I get them really blended in, but they go on feeling so thick and sticky, greasy. This is not greasy at all. And like most chemical sunscreens, it does burn a little bit around the eye area, so I feel like I can't quite put it all the way around my eye, which I normally like to do. So I might look into getting like an SPF eye cream or something that's meant for that area, because this it does sting my eyes like most chemical sunscreens. A really loud car just pulled into the parking lot of my building, which is great. They're playing like super loud music, so just waiting. I'm wearing the Cat Mama tee from Kelly Gooch, her merch line, and I love it. I got a size small, and it's just like the perfect amount of oversized where it doesn't look like a dress on me. I'm really short, so I have that problem a lot, but I love this shirt. There's your speed review on that. Anyway, love this sunscreen. If you haven't tried it yet, you're still looking for your perfect sunscreen, wow, this one is amazing. The next thing I wanted to review is the ELF Flawless Satin Foundation. I'm wearing this today. I'm actually wearing it over the Angel Veil Primer, which I still haven't quite figured out my thoughts on this yet, so this will probably be in my next review roundup video. I don't like this foundation. I really don't. I thought I would. I have the shade 120 Pearl, which has neutral undertones. So this says it's oil-free, medium coverage satin finish. It sounds like something that I would really enjoy. I tend to like medium coverage foundations as opposed to like the really high coverage ones. And I'm all about a satin finish. I had this in the past, I think. I'm talking back in high school before they expanded the shade range, and back when this I think had SPF in it. I don't think it has SPF in it anymore, so I'm pretty sure they changed the formula. When I had it way back in the day, I had very oily skin and I thought it was too greasy for me. But this, I don't have oily skin anymore, so it's hard to say, but this does not look the same on my skin as I remember. It also has a fragrance to it that I don't remember from the past. Really not a fan of the scent. It just kind of smells like cheap perfume, kind of floral. I don't know, just I wish they would just leave that out. But really nice packaging. I like the pump. It only comes with 0.68 fluid ounces, which is quite a bit less than your average 1 fluid ounce that most foundations are. It's weird, I guess they changed the name too. I bought this at Target, but if you look online, it's still called the Flawless Finish Foundation, but the packaging looks the same, and it pretty much has the same description and details, same size and everything. So pretty sure it's the same as the Flawless Finish, just I guess they're changing the name, I don't know. The shade Pearl I think is a little bit too light for me. It doesn't look like it would be in the container, but once it's on my skin, it's a little too light. I know it looks fine now because I've really blended it out, but I feel like I maybe could have gone like 1 shade up. My issue with this is I just don't like the way it looks on my skin. Definitely medium coverage, maybe even light to medium. You can totally still see some of my acne scarring. You can still see my skin showing through. So I would almost say it's light to medium coverage. I just feel like it accentuates any kind of dryness or texture on my skin, especially right up here and around my mouth area, like my upper lip and my chin. I don't have terribly like flaky dry skin right now. My skin is dry this time of year, but it's not bad. Like before I put this on, my skin didn't look dry up close. But I just feel like this gives me dry skin where I didn't even know that I had it, you know? And it just doesn't look good on my skin. I know a lot of people say they really like this foundation, and maybe it works better if you have very oily skin or just a lot more natural moisture to your skin. But even when I wear it on top of like my First Aid Beauty Coconut Skin Smoothie Primer, which is a glowy hydrating primer, it still does that, where I look up close and I can see all these little, I don't know, just gross areas of skin that I didn't even know were there before. And it also kind of just emphasizes my pores. Yeah, I'm just not a fan. I did spray my Pixie Glow Mist on top, and I do feel like that redeemed it a little bit. Pixie Glow Mist makes everything look better, so I always rely on that product whenever I'm not happy 100% with my foundation. I like the Physicians Formula Healthy Foundation better. I'm gonna stick with that one. That one never fails me, and this one I just feel like is a little finicky. It's unpredictable. I've had some days where it looked okay, but for the majority of the times that I've used it, I'm unhappy with the way that my skin looks. Next up, the Milani Conceal and Perfect Longwear Concealer. I have the shade Light Nude, which is 115. You might have seen me haul this in a vlog that I did back in December. This is good, I'm not in love. Okay, first of all, let me just start from the beginning here. I don't remember ever dropping this, but this is cracked. Has that happened to anyone else? It's not falling apart or anything. I feel like it's mostly cracked on like this outside layer of the tube, but do you see that? Yeah, I had it in my makeup bag for a while, so maybe it just got jumbled around, but regardless of that, it does have a flat doe foot, which I really like, this kind where you just kind of swipe it on. It's like a paddle shaped doe foot. It does have a thick-ish texture, which I thought would mean that this would have very high coverage, and it does have high coverage, but it's not as full coverage as the ELF 16-Hour Camo Concealer, which the issue with that one is it can look a little heavy and drying on your under eyes, but I feel like this one is just as kind of dry and heavy as the ELF one, but without as much coverage. So I think for me, if a concealer isn't going to be full coverage, I'd rather it just be a more average coverage with a more hydrating texture to it. I like my Jordana Take Cover Concealer a lot more than this one. Doesn't have quite as much coverage, but it just looks better on my under eyes. So, I don't know, I expected to like this one more. I feel like this has gotten so many rave reviews, and I don't dislike it. I'll definitely use it up, but you can definitely still see my dark circles peeking through. I have very pronounced dark circles, and the way that my eyes are shaped, I guess I have kind of deep set eyes, so it's very hard for me to completely cover up my dark circles. The ELF Camo Concealer is the closest I've gotten to full coverage. I feel like a lot of times when you see people reviewing any concealer that claims to be full coverage or any high coverage concealer, a lot of those people don't have quite as pronounced dark circles as I do. So it may be full coverage for someone who just doesn't have as much to cover. Yeah, that's my take from someone who does have very pronounced dark circles. If you don't, this may be just as much coverage as you could ever hope for. So next I've been testing out the CoverGirl Lashblast Volume Mascara. I have the shade Very Black. This is like the most iconic mascara at the drugstore, wouldn't you say? Maybe the Maybelline Great Lash, but I feel like no one uses that one anymore. Like, that one's been around for eons, but so is this one, but I feel like people are still using and loving this one. Whereas Maybelline Great Lash, I don't know, but I don't see anyone using it. Maybe it's like your holy grail, I don't know. So this has a spiky rubber bristle brush, which I usually love, and it's kind of a thick brush. I really do like the brush. It's very easy to control. I feel like I can really get into the base of my lashes and really get in there. And I don't usually end up making a mess all over my eyelid because the bristles aren't crazy long. It's just an easy to control brush. I wouldn't say it's a small brush by any means, but it's just easy to work with. So I really do appreciate that. It's very lengthening and great at just kind of separating your lashes, but it's not necessarily as volumizing as my top favorite, the Flower Lash Warrior. I actually compared them side by side the other day though, and I took some pictures, so I'll show you those, but it was actually kind of hard to tell the difference. With that being said, I had just opened the Lash Warrior, whereas this one has been open for a few weeks, if not like a month to a month and a half, maybe even almost 2 months. I think I got this in November, late November, almost 2 months, doesn't matter. Okay, I think with the Lash Warrior, in a couple weeks it may be even like more in its prime, whereas sometimes when you first open a mascara it's not quite there yet. But I still felt like the Lash Warrior gave me more volume, and that's what I love about that one, is it gives crazy volume, crazy length, and somehow it's not clumpy. So I think that one still comes out on top for me, but this is a very good option. I like it better than the CoverGirl Exhibitionist, and I like it better than the Supersizer. I wasn't a fan of either of those. They were both good, but I like this one better, probably mostly because of the brush. I just like this kind of brush. So you may know that I recently switched over from using a brow pencil to a pomade, and I decided to just invest in the most well-known and well-trusted brow pomade out there, which is the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade. I got the shade Taupe, which is the same shade that I used to wear in the Brow Wiz. I pretty much always get Taupe in brow products because it just tends to be the best shade for me. So the shade is good. It's the right kind of cool toned taupe that I like. I like very cool brows. I don't like much warmth in my brows at all. Even though I have some warmth to my hair on my head, I feel like my brows just look more natural when they're cooler. I ended up getting the Melt Proof Brows kit, which came with the pomade, this brush, and the Dip Brow Gel, which is tinted. And that was $30, whereas the pomade on its own is usually $21, so it seemed like a really good deal to me. I am glad that I got the kit, but I'm not in love with the gel, which I'll talk about in a second, mostly because of the shade. But let's talk about the pomade first. So I feel like there was definitely a learning curve with this pomade, which I expected when you're used to using a pencil. Pencils are just very user-friendly, so something like this can take a little bit of getting used to. I do think I've gotten used to it, and it wasn't too hard to get used to, honestly. The biggest thing for me is that I have to make sure I'm very light-handed with this, because it can go on a little thick and dark. So that was the main thing I had to get used to, but after that I felt like it was not that different from using a pencil. And the brush that it came with, which is just their, I guess their number 12, I don't know, it's just their brow brush. It comes with a angled brow brush and a spoolie on the other end. I really like the spoolie. It's a nice firmness and a nice size, and I love the brush. I like this better than some of the other brow brushes I have or have used in the past. It's very thin, so I have an easy time using this. I feel like it can be very precise, which I like. I have a hard time with brows, and I always have. I just feel like I have very difficult brows. I can never get them to look symmetrical or even. I feel like they can look kind of wavy sometimes. I don't know. My brows are definitely my weak spot with my makeup routine. But now that I've gotten the hang of this, I feel like it's really not that different from a brow pencil. I still have good brow days and bad brow days, just like I always did. But I guess what I'm saying is I don't like it more than I liked using like thin brow pencils, but I don't like it less either. Does that make sense? So I don't know, I'll continue using it. I enjoy it. The shade is good. My brows can still be kind of inconsistent, but I think that's just my brows for you. But yeah, love the brush, like the pomade, and I think I will stick to it, and I don't feel the need to go back to using a pencil. The brow gel, so this is also in the shade taupe. This is just really dark, and I don't know, it's not necessarily, is it darker than the pomade? Let's do a test here. Okay, no, so they're pretty much the same shade. This is the gel and this is the pomade side by side. I just feel like this is too pigmented for a tinted brow gel, at least for me. Maybe if you have darker hair and you're using the taupe, it would work just fine. So I've really just been reaching for my ELF Wow Brow Gel more when I have the option. I'll show you that one. It's like the same shade of taupe, it's just lighter and less pigmented. That's the ELF Wow Brow, that's the ABH Brow Gel. The ELF one is just lighter, so I don't feel like it can look as messy as the Anastasia one. Maybe if I just got a lighter shade, it would work fine, but I don't feel like I need a pigmented tinted brow gel. I like a slight tint, but I don't need it to be like full on as much pigment as the pomade itself. So yeah, I like the ELF one better, and the ELF one's $4. The ELF wand, which is this one, is a little bit smaller too. I like the shape of the Anastasia one though. I like that it's so pointed, but I don't know, I kind of just still prefer the ELF one. The ELF one has fibers in it, which I feel like you don't really notice those when it's in your brows, but I do see them on the brush here. This one does not seem to have any fibers, so anywho, I just don't think I'll continue. I'll use it. I just have to be very careful using it, like very light-handed and like barely touch my brows so that I don't end up with too much. But maybe this is just a better option if you have darker hair. I just prefer a little bit less pigment to my tinted brow gels, I think. This was sent to me in PR. This is the only thing here that was sent to me in PR. This is the Aether Beauty Supernova Crushed Diamond Highlighter in the shade Pink Diamond Dust. So Aether Beauty, if you haven't heard of them, they first started out with some palettes. They have like the Crystal Gemstone palette. I don't know if you've heard of those, but really nice palettes. I've had my eye on them for a long time. Never bought them because they're kind of pricey. So that it comes in two shades. It recently launched, I think like December 31st or somewhere around there. It's very new to the market. This shade is actually the darker of the two, so I was a little nervous because I was like, it might be a little too dark for my skin tone. I sometimes have that problem with these more golden-y toned highlighters, but this one, I feel like it works. I have it on right now and I definitely don't think it looks too dark. This is kind of a sparkly highlighter. Like it has individual sparkles that you'll see when it's on. So if you're not a fan of that and you prefer more of a subtle, even sheen, it may not be for you. I don't feel like it accentuates texture though. When I look up close, I do see like individual flecks of sparkle, but they're not like huge chunks. It's not like a Becca highlighter where it's like just a very even sheen. It's a little bit more glistening, I guess. But I think it looks really pretty. I just feel like it looks kind of just dewy and glistening on my skin. But it doesn't look too unnatural. It's not what I'm gonna reach for if I'm looking for like a very subtle natural highlighter where it doesn't look like I'm wearing any highlighter at all, but I do enjoy it. One thing I did notice, and this could be because I swatched it with my fingers when I first got it, but it got hard panned very quickly. So I was able to remove it with just some Scotch tape, which is what I normally do when I get hard pan, and so I think it's fine now, but it did seem to get that hard pan situation very quickly. Hopefully it won't be an ongoing issue. And if you haven't heard of this brand, they're really cool. They are very conscious of their packaging. So this is a completely paper packaging and it's actually completely recyclable. So once this runs out, which, you know, could be forever, I could remove the pan and then recycle this paper packaging. They left out the mirror, which they do in all their products because mirrors aren't recyclable. And instead of putting a magnet in here, they just put a little elastic band that you can use to close it. So I love that about this brand. And yeah, I think they're doing really cool things, and I like the sustainability aspect of their brand. This is $38, so it's expensive. So, you know, I think there are plenty of amazing highlighters at the drugstore too. You really don't have to spend the money. But if you are interested and you like kind of the mission behind this brand, I do think it's, you know, worth purchasing if you have the budget for it. I'll be honest though, I would not have bought this with my own money. And I don't plan on buying like the other shade with my own money either. I do think $38 is a lot of money to spend on one product. I would spend that much on a really nice palette, but on a single highlighter, I mean, to me, it's out of my budget. Oh yeah, and I think I actually have a promo code with them, an affiliate code. So I will put that on the screen and down below. If you are interested, you can get some money off there, and I will get a small kickback from that. Next, I have the Milani Keep It Full Nourishing Lip Plumper in the shade Soft Rose. I really like this. I'm wearing it now, and as I've been talking, it has kind of worn off a little bit, so I wouldn't say this is the most long-wearing gloss ever, but this shade, Soft Rose, pretty much matches the natural color of my lips, which is interesting. But I kind of like that. I feel like it's, like, for me, it's the perfect literal my lips but better color because it's the same color as my lips, and I like that it just evens out the tone of my lips. It's a pretty opaque formula. It's not as opaque as like the Dose of Colors gloss, but it's pretty close. See that? Really enjoying this. It feels really nice. As far as the plumping aspect, I mean, do my lips look super plump right now? Probably not. I usually tend to think that's more of a gimmick than anything, but it does have a little bit of that minty tingle to it. So it may kind of plump up your lips a little bit. The scent of this and the flavor of this reminds me of like a York peppermint patty. It's a very sweet mint, almost like creamy or vanilla-y. And I really like it. I really like the scent. Final product is actually a shampoo. This is the AG Hair Sterling Silver Toning Shampoo. So this is a purple shampoo. I bought it from my salon. In fact, you might have seen me talk about this in a day in the life vlog I did a few months ago, back when I still lived in Seattle, and I bought this from my salon after I got a haircut. Backstory on this, I've never colored my hair, never bleached it, nothing. Like, this is completely my natural hair color. It naturally has a decent amount of warmth to it, so I was asking my hairstylist if I were to use something like this, if it would kind of tone my hair still, even though this is a natural hair color, and she said yes it would, and she recommended this one. So I've been using it. Honestly, I haven't noticed a huge difference. I haven't been using it every time I wash my hair. She recommended using it like twice a week, I think, 2 to 3 times a week. So I've been using it twice a week, and I think I've noticed like a subtle difference, but my hair is still kind of a warm blonde. Maybe this would make more of a difference if you have a lighter blonde hair, or if you are actually bleaching your hair instead of just using it on your natural hair color, but I just haven't noticed enough of a difference, and it was $20. Definitely wouldn't buy this again, but I'm gonna keep using it until it's gone. It does smell really nice. It has like a tropical coconut smell, and the color is alarmingly purple. Maybe that's how all purple shampoos are, but I was so surprised the first time I saw this. It's fun. I mean, I don't dislike it, but I just feel like I expect it to make more of a difference, so I may look into some other options after that one's gone. Those are all of my speed reviews for today. I don't know if it was really all that speedy, but I hope it was at least helpful and that it gave you some more information about these products. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I will talk to you very soon in my next video. Bye.